Let them out.
There they are.
Hey, let them out.
They're running for their lives.
I'll get one.
Well, it's that time of year again. We've done this every year since the beginning of time because we're always on the day before Thanksgiving. And so welcome again to our special Thanksgiving edition of Health Talk here with Bill Kearney of North Lake Medical Pharmacies. I'm Paul Thomas. Bill, the turkeys are ready to go in the oven or the fryer. You guys fry one, right?
Well, we used to. Yeah. I don't do that anymore. And my wife prefers to have it in the oven, and so that's where. In fact, I have to pick it up tonight after I get off work. We always order a fresh turkey. And
where do you get those here in
at Bruno's?
At Bruno's, yeah. Okay. So are they sourced from a farm or?
Yeah, and we order them ahead of time. I go to pick it up and hope that it's there. Sometimes sometimes the weight is different than what.
Well, or worse yet, you don't get one, and then what do you do? Because you can't get a frozen one; it won't be ready.
I'm going to tell you how you can do a frozen one.
Oh, really?
That's a part of our show. We're going to tell you all the bad stuff, but we're going to tell you some of the good stuff too. So, yes, you can. You can safely cook a frozen turkey without thawing it first. And
wow.
But this is a fun show telling you we're all going to cheat. We're all going to enjoy Thanksgiving. I just had one of my twins and her kids came home Monday night, and so we and they're going home in about an hour to have Thanksgiving at their home with their husband and their dad, and then. And her twin sister is coming tonight with her daughter, and my other daughter has decided to just have her own family and have it at home. And my son has to work for the phone company, so he's on call up in Eureka. So, but anyway, we're going to have a good time, and we're going to go over some of the things that are going to be helpful for you. Before I run out of time. And don't get this in, and I hope I do it a couple times during the day or during the hour. Santa Claus is going to visit us on the 6th of December. It's on a Wednesday from 2 o'clock in the afternoon till 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Santa Claus will be in our store, and he'll be sitting there taking the list of what our kiddies want and whether they've been naughty or nice, and if they're going to get a lump of coal or they're going to get a present. So Santa Claus is going to be in the Bruno store, Bruno's North Lake Medical Pharmacy outside the Bruno store on Wednesday the 6th from 2 to 6. So I'll mention that again. Do we have another show before? That's probably the day of the show, too.
What day did you say it was again?
The 6th.
The 6th. No, I'll be back for that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be back. I'm just off next week only.
And also remind everybody that, the Kmart pharmacy closed, and a lot of the records went to CVS, but you do not have to go to CVS to get your prescription. If you have been there recently, the lines are unbelievable. If you want to come to a family-owned pharmacy where the price is the same as you paid at Kmart or maybe less, just give us a call. Tell us that your prescriptions were at Kmart. They're at CVS now. We can call them and get that prescription transferred without you having to go in there and deal with the big backup that they're having there now. Also, we're still giving flu shots, so don't forget. We talk about this every week, and we're getting into the season now where we're getting symptoms of people that are starting to get the flu. So we are still through the end of the year for sure giving flu shots. So make sure that if you haven't been immunized, you get immunized. And Paul, one thing I want you to describe how people could get online and get our previous programs.
Yeah. So we record every program. So I'm actually today we'll have the most updated one from last week up there. So, but yeah, if you go to our website, which is kxbx.com, that's all you have to type in, just kxbx.com. It's going to pull up the Greatest Hits website, and on the right-hand column, if you just go down a little bit, you'll see a picture of Bill sitting in the studio with his headphones on and the microphone, and you can click on that image. It'll take you to the Health Talk page, and on the Health Talk page, we've got shows going all the way back to the beginning of January. So that is the that's the access. You can also go on to YouTube and do a search for Bill Kearney Health Talk. That's a little bit harder to navigate. The easiest way is just to go to our website, kxbx.com.
Oh, thank you. I had I was in Salt Lake City a couple of weeks ago, and one of our relatives lives there, and when they've been out here, they enjoyed listening to the show, and so I did what you said to do, and found out that there was many. The last time I looked, there were 4 or 5 on there, and now we've got them clear back to the first of the year. So if you're interested in listening to any of our old shows, this isn't anything that we're going to get an Emmy for, or whatever you get for the radio. But excuse me, but
A Remy.
a Remy. So anyway, those are all on there if you want to listen to them, and instead of listening to the world of politics, and hopefully it'll fill up some empty time for you. Well, we just started the first of the show, and we were talking about getting the turkey, and one of the questions that came up in the Mayo Clinic was whether you could safely cook a frozen Thanksgiving turkey without thawing it first. And I was shocked. And the Mayo Clinic says, yes, you can. You can cook a frozen turkey if you follow the following precautions. You can even roast a frozen turkey, but don't grill it, don't deep fry it, don't microwave it, or don't smoke it. And they're listening to us
sad.
now.
Yeah, they're really worried
sad.
about it.
They thought they were going to get out of the deal because they were frozen, and they're not. So, to determine the approximate cooking time for a frozen turkey, this is the guidelines from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Take the recommended cooking time for a thawed turkey and multiply it times 1.5. And so that's half again longer for an unthawed bird. For example, if it needs to cook for 5 hours, then a frozen one needs to cook for 7.5 hours. And the cooking times are also listed on the outside of the package, usually telling you. So just take 1.5 times the cooking time that you figured out by, I think it's every 15 minutes or so, a pound every 15 minutes, but don't quote me on that. Then you need to have a temperature thermometer. Insert a food thermometer in the innermost part of the turkey thigh and the thickest part of the turkey breast. And after it has reached 165, take it out of the oven and let it stand 20 minutes before carving. That's usually the difficult part, because if you're in a family like mine, everybody's running over to get the skin off of it. I did see something on the internet of Rachel cooking a turkey, and she takes the breastbone out completely, fillets it off, and then lays the turkey out just flat. And it cooks quicker that way, and it cooks more thoroughly that way, but it doesn't look beautiful when you set it at the table, and of course that's half the thrill of doing this. And check the giblets. Sometimes those giblets are in paper.
Yeah, that happened when you were
inside
my
the cavity.
mom's. Yeah, she just had like a lapse, and she cooked the bird, and then she always does stuffing where you put it in the bird, and then when we were pulling it out, I'm like, what is this paper thing in here? And it was all the good stuff.
Yeah, and it kind of
it was weird. The paper kind of. It wasn't like really bad. The paper kind of crisped up a little bit, but it didn't ruin the bird or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's happened in my family.
I'm sure it's happened to all of us. Sometimes they're in plastic, and the plastic melts. So if they're
see, it would never happen to me because those are my favorite parts.
oh, mine too.
I gotta have the liver. I gotta have the heart and the gizzard. Even the neck. I try to.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, try to get around all the bones. Well, you probably eat the bones because.
Well, I do on the neck.
Yeah, you do.
I'm a cannibal, but no, I do soft bones. I do eat. but I take the giblets out, and
Yeah.
while the turkey's cooking and nobody's watching, I go cook the giblets.
cook
And
it, yeah, fry
then
them
when
up
when it gets down to time to eat the turkey, I'm full already. So because those are my favorite parts
Yeah,
too.
for sure.
Yeah, it's if
Well,
the,
here's a question for you about cooking the bird that I run into in my house when we're hosting is how do you get around that big bird in your single oven? How do you cook all the rest of your stuff? And
Well, I'm a one course guy. If I cook dinner for my wife, I'll do the meat, and then everything else she has to put together. But a lot of people have double ovens.
yeah, we
lot
don't,
of,
unfortunately.
we don't either. A lot of people have do stuff on the barbecue. I have a huge barbecue that doesn't that has burners on it and has a separate burner on the side that you can do some of the side things. The mashed potatoes and things, you can cook those ahead of time.
Yeah.
Put them in a sealed bag and then just put them in a water bath in the sealed bag, and you're not going to dilute, and they're just like fresh potatoes. So most of us don't have a double oven,
Yeah.
or if we do, the other oven doesn't work. So you have to either pre-cook some things or use the microwave. And I'm not good at. We had steaks last night for Thanksgiving dinner because we didn't have the turkey yet, and we had twice baked potatoes, and those require being in the oven with. But if I'd had a turkey in there, I would have had to have done it while the turkey was sitting,
Yeah.
and then get it. But we're going to talk to you about some of the things that you are eating and how healthy it really is. And on top of that, we're going to talk about the anxiety that goes with the holidays. Many of you are going to be with people that you haven't been around for a year. And if you're political at all, invariably, after
Yeah,
a few glasses of wine, it's going to get into
Oh,
politics.
and it's going to be
Yeah.
bad this year at my where we're going because it's already started on Facebook. The family is, and this is all Celia's side of the family. So I don't do Facebook anyway. But she's connected with her sisters and her brothers and cousins, and it's just a constant back and forth all the time.
Oh, and it gets rude and it gets hurtful.
Yeah.
So our goal when we got together in Salt Lake City with Dana's family was let's just not talk politics.
No talk. Yeah.
Well, my brother-in-law is 85 years old, and he's quite conservative. And it didn't make any difference how many times you told him, let's not talk about politics. He just kept getting louder and louder, and half of her family is liberal, and half of them are conservative,
Yeah.
and we're all sitting together, and finally we were screaming, Jerry, let's forget about it. Right? You can't forget about it. That's the way the world is, and I think everybody has a lot of anxiety right now about the world in general, with all the disasters that we've had in California and in Houston and in Florida. The president, because California was a sanctuary state, does not want to give California money, and I understand that. But the people you're hurting is not the government. The people you're hurting are the people that need the money. All Governor Brown is going to do is tax us more, and pay for it. We'll be paying for it. But when you've lost a home and animals and those kind of things, it's not a pleasant thing to be going through. And our hearts and prayers are with everybody that is going through that, as our county was going through it 2 years ago, and some of us are still going through it as of the Sulphur Bank fire. And hopefully they'll have a good holiday. So anxiety isn't just nervousness. It can have a heavy impact on your lifestyle, your social relationships, your self-esteem. Thanksgiving's here tomorrow, and the thought of being surrounded by dozens of relatives may make you a little bit uneasy. And I think the worst thing is, what is anybody going to say? Are they going to bring it up? It isn't unusual to have anxiety at holiday time. Social anxiety is defined as an intense, persistent fear of being judged by others or standing out from the crowd. And some people that doesn't bother at all. Other people have their opinions and want to stay out of that kind of a controversy. So with Thanksgiving being here tomorrow, households across the country are getting ready to celebrate love and gratitude. That's what Thanksgiving is. And family members and friends, but how can you let those warm feelings shine, and how can you enjoy that event if you're surrounded by people who make you feel anxious? So there are methods to take care of that anxiety. If you already know you're going to have to be around a large group of people, including relatives you haven't seen in months or years, new girlfriends or boyfriends, if you're like us, you have grandkids that are dating or in college, it's probably a good idea to do a little mental and practical preparation for it. You may want to engage in something relaxing and enjoyable ahead of time, whether it's working out, whether it's going shopping. Well, I'm not sure going shopping the day before Thanksgiving is the best thing to do. And certainly on Black Friday, that's something that I would be concerned about. But a useful breathing exercise for anxiety is to take a breath in slowly, maybe counting to 5, and let the air fill up in your belly. Then release it just as slowly, as long as it takes to put the air in. Let it take that long to get the air out. Feeling first your belly and then your chest deplete completely all the air. Repeat that a few times, and your body eases a little. I used to go to a psychologist when I first came up here. His name was Mark Baker, and I had a lot of anxiety about the war and had a hard time getting rid of some of those feelings. And that was his suggestion. He says, you have two central nervous system reactions going. You have the sympathetic nervous system, which is the fight or flight, and you have the parasympathetic nervous system, which slows you down. And with the anxiety, you have the central nervous system, and you're all pumped up, you're ready to go, you're ready to fight, you're ready to protect anybody, you're ready to lift a car off somebody if they've been in an accident. And in order to get that anxiety decreased in those kind of social situations, you need to take those breaths. When you do that, your body isn't stupid. It feels that happening, and it switches in your brain from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's the one that protects you, that keeps you from having the anxiety. So you may want to prepare a list of potential conversation topics in advance. If you get people talking about themselves or their children's, then you'll stay off the political thing, and you'll be placing them in the limelight, and you won't have to worry about your own performance. I'll tell you one thing, Paul, that comes up now a lot is people whose family members are addicts. They've got into the drug, and almost everybody you talk to has somebody in your family that has a drug problem. And they're reluctant to talk about it, but they're uneasy. And perhaps that individual is there at a Thanksgiving dinner, and it makes it very hard for people to relax when they're afraid somebody will find out. And it's part of society today, which makes certain that it's going to be an easy time for you. So another thing is make sure you have a job to do. I'm one of these people that I go to a lot of social functions, and many times my wife knows many more people than I do, and I'm kind of uneasy. Lots of times people know me because they're our customers, and I have thousands of people who are my customers, and sometimes I don't remember who they are. They've been in the pharmacy once, or I gave them a flu shot. But the best thing to handle anxiety is find a job to do. I'll go out and see if I can serve drinks. I'll help with the dinner. I'll go downstairs and get the chairs and the tables. You have a practical job to do that check the turkey. If somebody else hasn't checked it, go out
And take a little
yeah,
swipe.
go out there and taste a little bit, and you might want to take a cocktail with you, and that might help too.
That's a
So
good one.
you want to try to turn your anxiety into excitement. When you feel the wave of panic coming on, try to imagine that you're excited. Instead, you can make you can make a general statement saying, "I'm excited," and you might be hospitalized.
I'm excited to be here.
The way you may be that way you might be able to trick your brain into thinking that your anxiety is actually a feeling of intense anticipation, like opening your Christmas gifts on Christmas morning. The lead up to a good thing. In scientific terms, this is called reappraisal. So the way we verbalize and think about our feelings helps to construct the way we actually feel. Saying that you're excited represents a simple, minimal intervention that can be used quickly and easily to prime an opportunity to improve performance. If you're like my social gatherings for Thanksgiving, everybody's talking at the same time, and they don't know that even that you're saying something like that. But all ways to diffuse that anxiety. So be in the moment, be curious. It can be helpful in reducing your anxiety. Ask questions about people's lives that you haven't really found out you haven't seen them, so you haven't been conversing with them for the last 6 months or so. Socially anxious people who experience high levels of curiosity have a high possibility to satisfy that, so they're more likely to engage and approach behavior amidst motivations. And I think about my wife all the time. I love her to death. I've been married to her for 44 years. And we will be standing in line at the airport, and she's looking at her number if it's Southwest to see if I'm supposed to be boarded yet or not, or why. And all of a sudden there's a flight cancellation, and everybody's upset and discouraged. And she looks at the person in front of her and says, "Hi, who are you from?" Jeez, are you nuts? You don't know this person from Adam. Well, she does that all the time.
Oh, wow.
She meets somebody and starts talking, and before you know it, that they know somebody that somebody else knows, or they're going the same place you are. And but I'm the guy that sits back in the corner waiting for her to interact and being upset because we're going to be late for an appointment or something when we get to our destination. So if you can be that way, it helps. And my wife has a lot of anxiety too, but she turns it into something positive. And just remember, at the end of the day, however, it's vital to take everything in your stride. That most of those things you can't change. If you start feeling tired due to the effort of socializing and you're being around so many people, then remember you can always make a retreat and go home. You've heard many times from me about having an autistic grandson. He does well in a family setting with his family and his grandparents and things, but you get him in a crowd. I told you we took him to the Giants game this summer, and he could stand it for so long, and then he had to get away. And all he wanted to do was go play on the slides or something, and then my wife lost him at AT&T Park and called us, and we all had to find him. We all had anxiety, and he was just fine.
Oh, boy.
So, and if you're worried that your family won't be too happy about you leaving the party, just remember that you need space just like everybody else. And sometimes when we have family over all the time and they're sitting around the bar and they're laughing and they're playing cards, which I don't play normally, it gets a little overwhelming to me, and I don't want to sit in the other room and just watch television. So many times I go down to my office and just read. And I don't do that because I'm rude. I'm just doing it because, look, you can either buck up and go up to the table and learn to play the cards, or you can make yourself entertained and not let it ruin the time for everybody else. So if you're going to eat turkey, and I assume most of us are, some people are going to be eating prime rib, and some people are going to be eating lamb, and some people are going to be eating fish. the
Have you ever eaten
lobster.
turducken?
No, but John Madden has.
Yes, he loves the turducken.
And Cabela's has it in their catalog.
Oh,
You
do
can,
they?
You can buy turducken
I've
in
always
their
wanted to try turducken.
in their. And for those of you who don't know what turducken is, it's a duck inside. Isn't a duck inside
It's
the
a
turkey?
chicken, and it's a duck inside a chicken inside a turkey.
Really?
Yeah, and it's all three. I don't know if they must debone it or something, and just
Yeah, they would have
they
to.
would have to, and just kind of take maybe the breasts and,
Yeah.
and they wrap it, and but yeah, turducken is, I hear about it all the time, but I've never had it.
Yeah, if you're a John Madden fan, he used to be the coach of the Raiders years ago, and now has games that he makes millions of money off of. He would always talk about when he was doing the NFL games about having turducken, and he would actually have it on show it on the television
Yeah.
when he was doing his play-by-play. So, I don't like white meat because I've had neck surgery a couple of times, and it's too dry for me. But if you're looking for a lean cut of meat, turkey's pretty hard to beat because a 3-ounce serving of skinless white meat is 26 grams of protein and barely 2 grams of fat and under 1 gram of saturated fat. A 3-ounce serving of prime rib has less protein and a lot more fat, 28 grams of total fat instead of 2 grams, and more than 11 grams of saturated fat. So, and then dark meat has more saturated fat than white meat, and eating the skin adds a hefty wallop to all those bad fats. So, but turkey's a good source of arginine. It is an amino acid. The body uses this to make new protein. I love meat, and I eat fish, and I eat red meat not nearly as often as I used to. In fact, last night with cooking the steaks for everybody and the twice baked potatoes and the artichokes, I think I had one bite out of my steak. Excuse me. But the body uses the arginine to make new protein. And when I had my physical about a month ago, I found out that I'm low on protein. And I don't know why that would be, because I eat protein a lot, but whether foods rich in arginine help keep the arteries open is kind of debatable, but we just don't know. The rest of the feast, we used to think of Thanksgiving dinner with a guilty smile, yet several foods are essentially healthy. Cranberries, the fruit that provides the base of the traditional dish, deserves to move from holidays to everydays because they are packed with antioxidants. Of course, we add a lot of sugar to that, and but when it comes to the ability to neutralize unstable molecules that damage DNA, cranberries are near the top of the list, along with blueberries as well as blackberries, artichoke, beans, and prunes. A natural mix of antioxidants are found in cranberries, and food is really what matters, not the high dose of single ones found in the supplements. Sweet potatoes. You like sweet potatoes, Paul?
I do. I'm like the only one in my family that does, but I love them.
It's that way with
Yeah.
me too. And my wife said, "Well, I'll just make a small thing of sweet potatoes." I said, "You don't need to make it if I'm the only one that eats it."
Well,
She says, "No."
I'm the other way. I say
Yeah.
you need to make it
Yeah.
because I will eat it.
Well, they're related. Actually, they're related to the morning glory, if you can believe that. Not the white potato, just the sweet potato. And they're an excellent source of vitamin A and beta carotene and vitamin C, potassium and fiber. And then we put a little marshmallow on
Some brown
on it.
sugar
yeah,
and cinnamon,
brown-
yeah.
just to make
Oh,
it
yeah.
more unhealthy.
Sure.
Pumpkin, before this orange squash is made into pie, it's just plain good for you. It's low in fat and calories and loaded with potassium, vitamin A, B, and carotene. Most pecans also are a great source of healthy fats. I don't know that the pecan pie is a great
Yeah,
source,
well.
but pecans contain about 20 grams of unsaturated fat. Studies from around the globe show that people who routinely eat nuts are less likely to die of heart disease. So I had a little thing here about how much calories are in meat and how much calories are in turkey and how much is in chicken and how much is in salmon, ham, and leg of lamb, clear down to prime rib lean. And this is a 3-ounce serving. Light meal of white meat is 3 ounces is 125 calories. If you add the skin, it's 125 calories. If you eat the dark meat, it's 147 calories. If you eat the light meat and skin, 189 calories. If you have coho salmon, 151. We're still only, still with salmon, we're still just about 25 higher than we were with the turkey light meat. Ham, boneless, is the same, 151. Leg of lamb, 162. That's another meat that we really love. And this is where, this is why I got fat, I understand now. Duck meat goes up to 171, but duck meat and skin goes up to almost 300. Goose meat only, but if you eat the goose meat and skin, it's 259. We lived on farms, and we had ponds on our farms, and we didn't raise turkeys, we raised chickens. So if we didn't have chicken for Thanksgiving, we had goose. And we would just go out on the pond and shoot Canada geese. And so we ate that with 3 times the amount of fat in it that the turkey did. And then you think, well, maybe I'll have the prime rib, lean prime rib. 334 calories for lean prime rib, and a lot of people, we usually cook that at Christmas time. But opposed to 3 ounces of light turkey meat is 125. 3 times that is prime rib. And 27.8 grams of fat in that turkey opposed to, in that prime rib, opposed to a half a gram of fat in the light turkey. So I may have to be doing a little bit of working out to get things going and turn a little bit healthier. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some other things as far as nutrition goes with turkey. Have you been to the pharmacy recently where the employees know your name when you walk in the door and have your prescription refill waiting? If you answer no, then you probably haven't been to one of the Northlake Medical Pharmacies. Hi, my name is Bill Kearney, owner of Northlake Medical Pharmacies. For 38 years, my wife Dana, our daughter Brandy, and our employees have been dedicated to giving you the best service we have when you come to get your prescriptions. We are a family-owned pharmacy, and our employees are members of the Northlake Medical Pharmacies family. We know you have a choice when you get your prescriptions filled, and we appreciate you making us your choice. You see, you are part of our family too. We truly care about your health and taking care of you when you aren't feeling well. We deliver your prescriptions free when we know ahead of time and do the best we can to take care of you and your family. Northlake Medical Pharmacies with 2 locations for you, on Hill Road across from Sutter Lakeside Hospital and 347 Lakeport Boulevard outside the Bruno Shop Smart in Lakeport.
This is the Caltrans Road Information Bulletin for Lake and Mendocino County State Highways for the week beginning Friday, November 10th. Mostly no planned work November 10th through the 12th in observance of Veterans Day, but crews will respond to emergency situations. In Lake County on 175 near Arroyo Vista Road, weekdays expect 5-minute delays. In Mendocino County on Route 1 from Crispin Road to Cameron Road, weekdays expect 5-minute delays. At the Noyo River Bridge, weekdays expect 5-minute delays. And south of the South Fork Eel River Bridge, weekdays expect 10-minute delays. On Highway 101 north of Ridgewood Ranch Road, weekdays expect 10-minute delays. And near the Hermitage Vista Point, expect 10-minute delays. On 128 near the Sonoma County line, weekdays expect 5-minute delays. On 162 west of Pukini, weekdays expect 10-minute delays. On 175 near the Lake County line, expect 10-minute delays. And on 253 near Singley Cattle Pass, weekdays expect 15-minute delays. That wraps up the bulletin. Like us on Facebook for more updates. That's Caltrans District 1.
The Mendocino Film Festival invites you you and your family to enjoy the spirit of the season with a special holiday film series this December at Coast Cinemas in Fort Bragg. Saturday, December 2nd is National Lampoon's Classic Christmas Vacation, and on Saturday, December 9th is the family film Elf. Adults are $10, youths under 18, $5. All proceeds benefit the Mendocino Film Festival. For more information, go to MendocinoFilmFestival.org or call 937-0171.
Raising your family, tending to your animals, growing your own produce, preparing for the seasons, living the country life. Hi, I'm Jody Henke, host of Living the Country Life. Catch me every Monday through Friday at 9:35 a.m. and 4:35 p.m. for ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. That's Living the Country Life here on AM 1270 and 96.5 FM KXBX.
We bring the community closer together, supporting business in every way. We're helping make your dreams come true, working hard for you.
The Lake County Chamber of Commerce would like to recognize their member of the month, Tom Lincoln from Lincoln Levitt Insurance Agency. Lincoln Levitt Insurance Agency insures hundreds of local and out-of-county businesses, providing such coverage as fire liability, business auto, workers' comp, umbrella liability, director and officer liability, and group benefits. It also provides a full line of insurance products to local farmers and agribusiness owners. To request an insurance review, Tom and his staff are located at 650 North Main Street in Lakeport. They can be contacted at 263-7162 or through the website at lincolnlevitt.com.
Lake County Chamber of Commerce, we're steady and strong, help us shape the future.
I thought we got him.
They're pesky little guys.
Well, I think the president pardoned the
Yes.
thigh and the leg or something like that, or the thigh and the wing, or
He didn't pardon the whole bird?
no, just
No?
part of it.
Oh.
So
I know the bird was called drumstick. That was the name of
yeah.
the turkey, or the turkey.
well, if you've ever killed a turkey or a chicken, I was raised having chicken every week. They even though their head's gone, they still are plopping around all over
my mom
every place.
recalls from France. When she visited France after she graduated high school, she went and visited her aunt who lived out there. And her aunt took her down to the market and bought a fresh chicken. And, the chicken proceeded to run around the market square after the head had been removed. And it had scarred my mom to the point where she doesn't really eat a lot of chicken still to this day because of that.
Well, my twins are 42 years old now, and when Dana was pregnant with them, we went back to Iowa, where I was from, and went back to my sister's place in Nebraska after that. And for Sunday dinner, always was, we called it dinner, and we called the evening meal supper. But for dinner, we always had fried chicken. So we went out and took an old corn knife and laid it on the chopping block, and just you swing them around first to get them dizzy, and then their head will lay right there, and then you bring the old machete down and cut their head off,
gotcha.
and then they flop. Deanna was sick she never ate any chicken, and she was already having morning sickness. That really threw her cookies off. So
Yeah, that's a harsh one right there.
but that's the way you live on a farm, and you raise the stock and the livestock, and then you use them for survival. So that's the way I grew up, and that particular sister of mine still lives in Nebraska, and her husband is the head of the fishery for the state of Nebraska, and makes a substantially good salary from the state. But they were raised, he was from another part of Nebraska, and they were both raised on farms, and they still live on deer during the winter and make beef or deer jerky, and this will really surprise you, and they haven't offered it to me, but they live on the Missouri River. They can carp, and they eat carp from their canned foods. They can everything. So I'm not sure that that would be enjoyable to me, but just as we were talking, Paul and I were talking about the vets that are now getting this parasite and it's causing cancer, and they think it's from a lot of the raw fish that the vets ate over in Vietnam and also Korea. And I was just telling him, you know, we were up on the DMZ and we had no meat up there except a pet or something, and so the ladies would get fish, fresh fish, and they would start walking up to the DMZ. It would take them about a day and a half, and wrapped it in newspaper. And by the time we got it, it was it was pretty smelly, but it was the only meat we had, and we ate it. So. What I didn't get a chance to tell you, Paul, was the fact that my liver enzymes have always been high, and nobody knows why. And so every time I do a lab test, essentially not drinking alcohol didn't do anything to lower them, and eating the right kind of foods didn't lower them. And my physician just says it's just, you know, it's hereditary. That's well, he doesn't know because my dad died before I ever moved to California, and I've been here for 40 years. So, but it always makes me wonder because of your father being over there, and he died of something similar with liver failure.
Yeah, the bile duct cancer is what they're saying that this parasite is causing in vets, and it's occurring in hundreds of Vietnam vets now are coming down with this very rare form of cancer, and they think it's due to these parasites that live in your body for decades and gradually over time, I guess, cause cysts to grow around the bile duct, and those cysts grow to the point where they restrict the passage through that area, and that's where you die. My dad died of this bile duct cancer, but he really died of liver failure because his liver stopped working.
Right.
And it was very quick, very sudden. And, you know, back then they didn't really have, this was 12, 13 years ago, they didn't really have much of an explanation from my mother or anybody in the family other than it's a very aggressive, rare cancer that we're not really familiar with.
Right.
And now all these other Vietnam vets are coming down with the same thing. When I read the article yesterday, I was like, whoa, that's exactly, you know, what my dad died from. And they had the long medical term for the cancer, and I was trying to look it up during the break, but I couldn't find it again. But I recognized that term because that is what they had said to my mom and myself when he died. That's the name of the cancer.
Well,
so,
you know, the point of all this is that no matter what it is, it can, if you don't take precautions, and over in the war, we didn't really have time to take precautions, but a turkey isn't any exception. Most birds carry bacteria, and the turkey isn't any exception. It's salmonella that it carries, and if it's cooked properly, it doesn't pose any harm, but undercooking, the bacteria can cause diarrhea, vomiting, fever, and general illnesses from uncomfortable to life-threatening. So when we tell you that you need to cook a turkey to at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit, that should be checked by thermometer. And if you have any questions about cooking your turkey, you can call the Butterball hotline, even if you're not doing a Butterball turkey.
they have a Butterball hotline.
It is, yeah. It's 1-800-Butterball. So it's actually 1-800-288-8372. 1-800-288-8372. There has to be some people that are just just married or just staying home for the first time, and are cooking a turkey for the first time. They will give you all kinds of information into how to cook that turkey and how long. Everyone knows the dangers of cooking turkey, but every year nationwide the rate of residential fires more than doubles the time frame. Never leave the house with the oven on. Check on the turkey frequently. If you choose to deep fry a turkey, which I did, and I prefer that actually, but my wife doesn't, and most of the family just likes the way that I baste it and do it if it's in an oven. Always make sure that it's thawed first, unless you use that rule we just gave you, which is 1.5 times the amount that they tell you for a thawed bird. Don't place a turkey in a deep fryer unless it's all thawed. If you have ice in there, excuse me, which I have done, it spatters. And if you're not in a garage or someplace with concrete and nothing around, I always had a big cardboard box that I put the deep fryer on, and the oil bubbled out on that box. But you have to stand there. You can't just go off and leave it. So a lot of people get hot oil burns, which lead to third-degree burns and other serious injuries. So if you're frying a turkey, always wear good footwear, practice fire safety, and monitor the children in the area. Delicious holiday foods are usually well seasoned, and usually with salt. This does a little more than make you thirsty, but for people with congestive heart failure and chronic edema or water retention, extra salt can put increased stress on your body. And if you have conditions, be careful about what and how you eat. With a few patients with episodes of worsening heart failure, usually the day after a holiday, and the emergency room is packed. Least but not least, when it comes to the Thanksgiving part, be careful about driving. It's all too common to see drunk drivers during Thanksgiving time. The Highway Patrol is going to be out in force totally during this holiday weekend. Monitor how much you drink, and remember that even if you're sober, unfortunately not everyone else is. And you could be a statistic that we don't really want to talk about. So you get past the shock value that these dinners can actually add up to 4,000 extra calories. Anyone can eat like that on any given day, and a lot of people do. You know, I noticed one of the fast food places has, and most of them have, 2 big hamburgers for the price of 1. And I guess if you just buy the 1 hamburger, you don't get the price, so you buy 2. And then you eat 2. And if it's dinners, you eat double the fries, double the food, double the cheese, double the fat.
Double the fun.
Double the fun, yeah, yeah. I mean, instead of focusing on sheer quantity, why not focus on the wholesomeness of home-prepared Thanksgiving dinner? When we go back to the Midwest, we fly into Kansas City and we drive up to Iowa, and they have the Cracker Barrel restaurants. I don't know if you've ever been in a Cracker Barrel.
No, I've had Cracker Barrel cheese. Is it the same thing?
Well, Cracker Barrel restaurants are all about comfort foods. Fried chicken, mashed potatoes and gravy.
Yep.
Roast beef and gravy.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you'll see the soldiers in there. They give a special discount for active duty people and veterans. Nice. And it'll just be everything that you didn't think you were supposed to eat. And it looks so good and it smells so good. And then right next door will be a big diner that has a smorgasbord with all that stuff. And you can eat not just one deep fried thing, you can eat about 10 of them.
Wow.
And then, of course, the dessert is the size of half a pie, you know. So, and it's always, when I go fishing, derby hat fishing, we used to go to, outside of Medford, to a lake up in, off Klamath. And we would stop in Wairika to have a dinner or breakfast at Grandma's, and I would always have chicken fried steak with 2 eggs over easy and hash browns and biscuits and gravy.
Sounds good to me.
Heart attack on a plate.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you.
We had that at Renee's like last weekend. That exact thing right
Oh,
there.
did you?
Chicken fried steak. Yeah. Oh, it's good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So, if you're listening to this program, don't do as we do. Do as we say. But those are, the holidays are tempting times, and you want to have a little bit of everything, and it's typically starts out with veggies and veggie tray and nuts and drinks before dinner, and then you start bringing out the different things with it's like the bean casseroles, They said just have green beans. I mean, green beans
Green
without
beans are boring.
cheese and
No.
stuff on the top of it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a recipe every place you look on how to make it. I usually make the mix, hot mix from the cereal boxes. So I use Cheerios and wheat Chex and rice Chex and corn Chex and 2 or 3 cans of peanuts and lots of butter and salt, and then I add Cheerios and pretzels, and then you eat those. Those are sitting at the bar,
yeah.
so you eat those
Sure.
during the day.
Yep.
And by the time you get done, and then you go back after you've eaten Thanksgiving dinner, and of course there's still leftover pumpkin pie and ice cream, and you go into that, and then you sit around and watch the ball games and things, and you just keep going until the next day you can't get your britches buttoned, and you wonder what you can do. In the summertime, I swim extra. Wintertime, it's a little different story, but the whole point is to have a good time. We've talked about a lot of things today. We've talked about anxiety and stress. We've talked about diet. We've talked about not preparing the food properly and what that can happen to you if you get something that wasn't well cooked, eating the wrong thing that you didn't get from a healthy source. I've been to Mexico, and we were in Cartagena last spring and got food that was by the food vendors out in the street. 9 times out of 10, that makes somebody ill. I've been pretty much able to survive on those foods because those are the best foods as far as taste-wise they go.
Good stuff.
But you don't. If you've ever watched Bizarre Foods on the Food Network,
Love bizarre food. Yep.
and that guy, takes stuff in environments that are not healthy environments, and eats everything. And I don't know if he ever gets sick or not, but he's.
I'm sure he's probably loaded up on all kinds of I don't know.
I don't know either, but
medicines or something wherever
but
he goes.
one thing you find out when you're overseas, especially in the military, you develop a tolerance for those things, and you get the bacteria that are in some of the foods don't bother you anymore because you have built up a resistance to it. It's a little bit different on Thanksgiving and Christmas when you're not having these foods all the time, and you're having them, and different people are preparing them, and then you wonder, are they being prepared properly? And when you, same way with going to a type of a place where everybody, a potluck where everybody brings food from. We have those where I live on Wednesday evenings in the park, and everybody brings the food and shares it. And I don't think anybody's ever gotten sick off anything that we do, but you always have that feeling that it could go that way. So I just hope that we all have a great Thanksgiving, and that we don't have too much anxiety, and we don't speak too much about politics, and we are hopefully being optimistic about nutrition when we have these get-togethers, and get some benefit out of eating good food. But if there has to be a day where you do everything wrong, that's a good day to do it on Thanksgiving, except the anxiety part and sharing politics. Want to remind you again that a week from 2 weeks from today, we will have Santa Claus visiting our store outside Bruno's, North Lake Medical Pharmacy outside Bruno's, on December the 6th from 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you kids will have time after they get out of school to come see Santa and tell Santa what you want for Christmas, whether it be a lump of coal, and I'm sure most of you won't be asking for the lump of coal. We actually do sell lumps of coal, which are chocolate, but and they're going fast, so I don't know if like a lot of kids are going to get coal for their Christmas or not.
It's not a bad idea.
And remember that Kmart Pharmacy has closed, and they have sent all their files to CVS. If you have joined the throng at CVS and found out how long it's going to take you to get taken care of, or if you're a regular customer at CVS and find out that you may not be priority anymore and you have to stand in line for a long time, think about transferring to your local family-owned pharmacy. We've been in business 37 years and have a different experience when you walk in the door. When Heidi or Margot or Vicki or Christina and Cindy say hi to you, they'll know who you are and they'll ask you if you need help, and we try to get you in and out of there as soon as we can. And if Dave delivers prescriptions for you, we have, and Christina, it's at no charge to you. They will also have a smile on their face, and I'm not sure about Dave, but he's been doing that for many years for me. So his nickname is Showtime.
Oh.
So his message is to make North Lake Pharmacy look good. So give him a shot and let him come by and deliver for you. Just call us a day ahead of time. We'll get you on the schedule and deliver your medication free. Flu shots, if you haven't got a flu shot yet, you need to come down to our pharmacies, and if one pharmacy is out of flu shots, the other one will have them. We just ordered more this morning to make sure we could get through the holidays. And if you're going to be around small children, infants, you need to get a Tdap shot. So we're trying to do as many things as we can for you to make your holiday as stress-free as possible. If Santa Claus helps, Santa will be there on the 6th. If not standing in line at CVS or Safeway is an option for you, certainly come into North Lake Medical Pharmacy and we'll take care of you. If you haven't got your flu shot, you don't need to make an appointment, just come in. And the one thing I haven't reminded you about, but by December 7th, 2 weeks from tomorrow, is the deadline for Medicare D. If you haven't switched, if you haven't looked at your Medicare D plans, say you're already on Medicare D, you need to check and see, and we'll try to fix it up for you. I'd like to remind you we're North Lake Medical Pharmacy with 2 locations for you. At 5136 Hill Road East, across from Sutter Lakeside Hospital. Call us there at 263-6192. And outside Bruno Shop Smart at 347 Lakeport Boulevard. Give us a call there at 263-1328. Thank you, Paul. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see everybody back here again. Let's see, next week we'll have a recorded version, but be sure to join us for that Wednesday at 10 o'clock, and then we'll be back live the week after that. So have a good Turkey Day.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
Thank you.